Josh speaking up now.
Yes, hi Josh. My name is William Montgomery, and I have a brother named David Montgomery, and we have an extremely serious issue that we need to report. We're at this stage in it, and we could use your guys' help now. So, essentially though, in a nutshell, my brother and I have been following this for the last couple of years across the state, being homeless discrimination, and relating to the lobbies of several King Soopers is closing down in Fort Collins and other places at night when they used to be open, and that they started getting closed down due to what they claimed to be, quote-unquote, too many calls at night. Basically, not that the cops wouldn't take the calls, but that they just wanted to otherwise maybe prevent the idea of future calls having to happen, for loitering or statutable offenses and so forth. But the problem with this behavior that we've noticed is that anytime they close, they always deny the reasons why they close on a public level. And so if we're lucky, we can usually get to them before they get to each other, and they'll have to give us a straight answer. And so sometimes we'll get employees that say, oh, yeah, it's definitely homelessness. We've had to do that. It's too many calls, blah, blah, blah. But then other times we'll talk to managers, and they'll be like, sorry, no, it's just closed, cleaning or something like that. It's been closed forever, or that they claim that it's like it's Starbucks property, it's not King Soopers, things like that. And we're finding out that people are saying those things not because they're ignorant of the situation, but because they're actually covering up that they closed it in the name of discriminating against homeless people. And so lo and behold, my brother and I actually became the very subject of this whole endeavor down here in Longmont a couple months ago. We were accused of staying overnight at a lobby over here on Bentway in Longmont, and we don't stay overnight. We have a place that we have to go overnight, obviously. And essentially, though, while it was open to the public, and there were no policies that it had for it being closed, the Starbucks lobby, we talked to the manager. We got everything on tape, very specifically his accusation, and then we clarified, and we said, hey, are we still allowed to be here during the day? Yes. Are we still allowed to be here during the night, just not too long? Yes. All that jazz. And then the lobby closed that night. And so basically what we did was my brother and I have had to start recording ourselves pretty vehemently to catch these people. And so we actually went around right after it closed and talked to every manager and every employee that we could think of, and just asked them, what had happened. And we got exactly what we thought we'd get. We got a whole bunch of different answers. Some managers were like, yeah, man, it's just too many calls. We have to do it every winter, things like that. And then other times, somebody else, like my brother, would go up to those same managers and get a completely different story from the same manager. And so, because they would think that they're just a public, so it's kind of like hiding. It's hiding an image problem. And so we basically recorded all of this, and then once we were done recording, all we wanted to do was let them know that somebody had caught them basically lying about their lobbies being closed, lying to the public, lying to each other, so forth and so on. And so we made kind of a round or two to all the employees that we had spoken with before, and we just informed them basically, hey, let you know that we caught you guys basically racketeering, and we put it all up on YouTube. And so when we did that to the Starbucks employee, who's kind of the final employee that was on our list of people to talk to anyways. So it's not like we were interested in continuing to go around and do this forever to people. We just wanted to kind of close our loop. And as a result, the Starbucks employee called over the head clerk before any conversation had even happened. He never said anything to us. He just called right in front of us. It's kind of rude. But nevertheless, the head clerk called the lead manager out. This manager, Dan, is the one that we've been had worked with before, the one that had accused us wrongfully, and we cleared it up. But it's also the manager that we told, that we gotcha. And what do you know? That manager literally told us, in his words, hey guys, I can't have you causing trouble. If you continue to do this, if you continue to cause trouble, I'm going to have to trespass you. And so we very nicely asked immediately thereafter, just what do you mean by causing trouble? Because we have rights, we know that we're within them, or we thought, with this freedom of speech. But obviously, the merchants have rights too. And so rather than actually finish that conversation, he literally turned around and called the police. He never actually told us to leave, and he never clarified the policies. And so we continued recording. We went ahead and shopped and sat down in their lobby and started using it during the afternoon. And sure enough, the cops show up. And when the cops show up, they try and execute his formal warning. They kind of tell us themselves that they have the authority now, which there's some issues there. We don't know if there was anything notarized ahead of time or things like that. But nevertheless, when we asked about their authority, we just asked if we were being detained. They said yes. And so that changed everything after that. And so in the past, my brother and I have been unlawfully detained like too many times, like 30, 40 times now. And we're really good at catching it. And so we always ask right ahead, ahead of time, just if we're being detained. And if someone's stupid enough to say yes, then we can go down the argument path. And so we continued to go down this argument path with them, found out that the business owner had falsified information to the police that we had refused to leave after being told to leave. And so that when the cops showed up, they basically detained us to issue us what would have otherwise been a trespassing ticket, but they said that they were just being nice and issuing us a warning. And ultimately, we fought with them that we've gotten these types of don't come back notices before that don't have anything to do with trespassing. And I tried to actually show the officer my audio of the business owner not telling me to leave so that he wouldn't have to continue detaining me for an investigation that would fizzle out. And he denied that exculpatory information. And so we've had cops do this before. They deny the exculpatory information so that they don't exonerate us, because then basically they would have to take the opposite call. And so we now have officers that basically co-conspired and racketeered with the business owner to get away with falsifying information to authorities. It's a misdemeanor. He should have been arrested. And so we caught that all on tape, and we reported it to Internal Affairs, and they're just really slow to get back at us. In general, they're very ignorant, and they usually don't like to lift a finger until 42 USC lawsuit comes around, if we actually go to our own courts and make claims and stuff. And so we don't really need the cops though, but ultimately we're extremely concerned obviously about a couple of things. One, what was the policies that we were actually violating? Two, why did we not be given a chance to stop doing those policies and continue to just be regular customers, come back and be shoppers? And three, why are there these employees still working here after falsifying information to authorities? This is where you guys come in. We would very much like to not pursue a discrimination lawsuit against King Soopers. Ultimately, like I said, there's several lobbies have now closed. But really, we kind of just want you guys to watch the same audio that we recorded or listen to it all. It's very short, and that way you guys can kind of see that these people are all possibly people you shouldn't be employing at your companies. And ultimately, we would just very much like our privilege back. It's actually becoming very difficult for us to coordinate purchasing our groceries. We're on foot right now, and we're kind of stranded in Longmont, and there's only a couple of stores that offer groceries at a decent price, and this is the only one in this area. And so we've actually had to completely recoordinate ourselves. We just want to go back and shop. And ultimately, we would like to go back and use the lobby after 8 and anytime during the night, as long as it's not violating any policies. And like I said, we are unsure and unaware of any policies that we've actually violated. And so we can give you guys the search terms and any information you'd like to grab from us from here on out. But I believe this is one of the more serious situations that you're going to come across.
It definitely sounds very, very serious. Definitely going to get this documented and sent up to the division. And we'll see about that. Can I get your name, your first and last name?
Sure. Thank you. And just as a background too, if you guys need, we put playlists together of a whole bunch of other cases. We basically had to document what we caught was kind of homeless human trafficking or discrimination. And so it's not just lobbies that are closing, it's right-of-ways, it's private drives, it's everything that anybody that they see a homeless guy on it. And so essentially, we wouldn't have even been in Longmont if it weren't for being human trafficked out of a different city. And so we're just trying to make sure that everybody knows that that this type of behavior has got to be addressed on a very large scale at this point. Like I said, multiple lobbies have now closed, and there's just seems to be no due process yet. And so this is why we were kind of trying to. This is the first time we were able to catch this all on tape. So we figured this is the best we can get you guys. So I really hope it's enough to work with.
Actually, do you have a shopper's card that you use?
Yeah, you can look me up. My phone number, 970-372-5762. The name's William Montgomery. That might be associated with some guy named Butler or something like that. I tried to correct that one time, and but anyways, the name is William Montgomery.
Okay, can you confirm for me your address, city, state, zip code real quick?
Sure, absolutely. 305 West Magnolia Street, Magnolia. And then on that same line, after street, you want to put the letters PMB, standing for private mailbox, and you can put 221. And so 305 West Magnolia Street, PMB 221, and that's Fort Collins, Colorado, 80521. And that number I gave you is not a good number anyways anymore. I got a different one here for you when you're ready.
321 West Magnolia?
305 West Magnolia, and then PMB 221. It's kind of like a P.O. box, but not.
Your phone number?
And so I got two phones, just in case. One is the main line, 970-825-4421. But it's not my voicemail number. If you want to grab that, that's 970-412-5463.
Just look to where the voice comes from.
Oh, yeah, just make it go.
And you said your postal code was 80521?
Yep, that is correct. So we don't want to use these types of words like discrimination and human trafficking. That's why we just put it all into the audio online. But I think just simply hearing different stories from each manager, and also from the same manager, different stories to different people, ultimately what we feel as though is happening is that the King Soopers management team and their employees that know that it happened are trying to keep that information from the public. Because my brother would go in as somebody else that nobody knew before, and so they don't want to let the public know that they discriminated against the homeless. And we actually talked to some public people, just some customers out waiting outside, because they had taken the benches outside out as well, and so we kind of saw these people waiting around in strange places after that, and so it's affecting lots of different demographics. And so we did tell one customer that we were told different stories, and she seemed rather disgusted. And so we've seen this type of behavior before, where ultimately secrets are trying to be kept so that money can continue to flow. So I do apologize. I don't like being the bearer of bad news.
We definitely appreciate you calling in and letting us know about everything that happened. I apologize about your experience.
Well, that's okay. It's let me put it this way: if you were to put a note in here, the main contention we've noticed is that business owners seem to be wanting to take the cost of policing into their own hands, and where they see the cost may be high in a certain time frame. Just because there aren't as many users doesn't mean that that it shouldn't be equally open to the public. And so we're finding out that evenings are common places that they basically just say too many calls, and that's like a really arbitrary scale. And as a result, we find that other demographics, older people or students or other, us, we end up getting kind of thrown out with the bathwater because they say, well, we can't we can't police you guys because we'll have to go and make, calls for everybody else there, and so they're trying to make it easier for themselves to not make these calls. But ultimately, across the board, all the King Soopers' lobbies should, I think, remain open. They've been open in the past for 24 hours a day, and it was never an issue, especially for stores that are open 24/7. And that anytime that there's any sort of issues with regards to having to call the police, each individual kind of deserves their own day in court, so to speak, their own phone calls against them. And while there are, messes out there that people make, or, maybe sleeping or loitering without purchasing things, all of those are just, it comes down to, what some people have said is manpower. They're not staffed as much as at night. And I kind of find that hard to believe that they would have trouble affording that, and or why isn't anybody asking for additional funding then? And so we find that people are just kind of taking away the rights of the few, the minority, that there aren't enough people that use it at night that are legit, that let's just go ahead and get rid of it for everybody. And so there are more than enough legit people out there that use these services that are getting thrown out with a baby as a baby. And let's put it this way: if it weren't for this problem in other places, like I said, that people hang out, we probably wouldn't have had to end up in the lobby in King Soopers over here. Basically, what we were doing at the time that we were profiled was we were typing our lawsuits out and putting things on YouTube. What do you know? And so we were doing that from the hours of 8 to 11, and we would leave to catch a bus at like 11:42. But we were told that by Dan that the managers said that we were staying overnight, but that they had left at 11. And so they were just sort of assuming that we were staying overnight, but no one actually did any real investigation. And we actually happen to have a whole bunch of Google tracking proof, if we ever need, that we realized we had been keeping that whole time, to legitimately prove that we actually did leave every night. And so Dan said he had proof, that the manager, because when we asked him, he said he had proof. And so it's just kind of I don't want to say this, but we see this a lot. It's kind of a lynch. It's just accusing people without evidence, and mostly it just comes down to guilty until proven innocent, and that if you're poor, you're a criminal, and it's just a lot of poverty discrimination. And so we find ourselves just in these hot spots everywhere, and if everybody kind of equally opened up all these hot spots back up again, and then just understood that they all have to remain open, then naturally, I don't even think there would be too much of a problem at night. I think it's just a problem at night because everyone is keep going to the places where they can until there's basically nowhere left to go. So I apologize that we ended up in Longmont, but it's everybody else that kind of ran us around. All we did was just exercise strange rights that we realized that could really help us out. Like typing in lobbies. Just because we have tablets, and so we need electricity. We charge up and things like that. And so most of the time, we can make it to coffee shops, but sometimes the hours aren't right, and we're kind of nighttime people in general. And so that was kind of our whole contention. That was our lawsuit here, was that we're just nighttime people, and there's plenty of people that we see use it at night, and maybe early in mornings before work and stuff. And all those people, I think, if they knew that it was all being closed in the name of homelessness, they would be just as outraged as us. And so that's all I have to say about that. I can ramble on forever, but I think the report is, I think we've beaten a dead horse at this point. So thanks for listening.
No problem, sir, and I'll get this document sent out for you, okay?
Awesome, thank you. If you happen to be able to have someone, if they feel they need to contact me for further information, by all means, don't hesitate.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the trouble. Take care. Bye-bye.
How can I help you today?
Hi there. Hold on one second. I'm near a motorcycle shop, and of course, I like to test drive their motorcycles. Just give me a second. I know some guy's coming back. It's just loud and obnoxious. Gotta love it. Okay, so I just had a somewhat lengthy conversation with the previous customer service representative here. I just forgot to reference for you guys the actual YouTube search terms or the title because we ended up putting everything on YouTube to make it a lot easier for you guys to follow it. If you could possibly pull me back up, the name's William Montgomery. I had just reported something about a King Soopers on Bent Way in Longmont here. They were closed.
Did you perhaps get your shopper's card number with that as well?
I did, sure, yeah. It should be 970-372-5762.
It's probably 970-372-5732, correct?
5762.
5762.
Sure, thanks.
All right, there we are. 964 William Montgomery. Can you verify the address on this account for me?
Sure, 305 West Magnolia Street, PMB 221, Fort Collins, Colorado 80521.
Thank you for that. And we have another number on here. Can you verify that one as well?
Sure, or you should have two. That 372 is not really good anymore, but I'll change it later. I still have it. I like having it associated with this account. But I should have 970-825-4421 and 970-412-5463.
There we are. We do have the 825-4421. All right, and let me see if I can find the previous case from this.
Sure, real quick. If you guys could only have one number on file, if you could make sure it's a 412-5463, because that's a voicemail phone. That way, if I can't answer it. The 825 doesn't have a voicemail system for it.
All right. Well, no, I'll pull up that previous case, and after that, I'll see about getting it corrected to that one.
Sure, thank you very much.
About what time did you call earlier?
It was like 10 minutes ago, very, very recently.
All right, William Montgomery. Yes, I'm seeing that. One moment while I pull that up.
Sure, thank you.
All right, you said you wanted to provide a YouTube link to the video. Is that correct?
Sorry, what was that? Yeah, I just wanted to reference the particular YouTube playlist. We had caught it all on audio.
Certainly. Can I get that then?
Sure. The exact title here is the date. I started off 2016 //0. Sorry, let me start over. 2016 /01/28. So that was the date that it happened. Hold on one second. That was a different playlist. I had open. 1 second. There it is. 2017 6/24. Longmont King Soopers closes its Starbucks lobby to the homeless, then bans whistleblower.
All right, just confirming Longmont King Soopers closes Starbucks to homeless, then bans whistleblower.
Yep, that's it. It's not going to be pretty, but we had to do it. We had to catch it. We've been following this for quite some time, and we just happened to have our recordings going at that time, so it was kind of a juicy experience. So we're really sorry, but yeah, we're really concerned. So feel free to watch it yourself.
Well, is that singular or plural? Just making sure I heard that correctly.
Sorry, singular or plural?
Whistleblower or singular or plural?
Oh, just singular. But technically my brother was there too, so but the search term is singular.
All right. And what was the phone number you want me to activate on to on your phone on your account as well?
Sure. 970-412-5463.
All right, I can get that in as well as put the YouTube video on the reference.
Awesome, thank you. And
I can help you today?
well, I just I did talk a lot with the previous guy about what had happened, but I just wanted to make sure that it was in the notes. Just a reiteration that ultimately we would just very much like our privileges restored. We would we don't feel as though we had violated any policies. They never clarified anything with us of what the policies were, and we never were even told to leave by the management. It ended up being some cops and stuff. You'll see it all in the audio. But basically, it's one of the harder things that we have to deal with in this city. We're stranded here temporarily until our van gets fixed. And there's not too many places that we can get food for so cheap. And so it would be nice just to be able to go shopping there again, is all. So.
All right. I'll have that in there as well.
Awesome.
Anything else I can do for you today after I've got that phone number updated?
No, sir. You've been more than helpful. Thank you very much.
Hope you have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.